We're going to go ahead and review what scientific notation is, and we're going to use our not powers, but our rules of exponents to simplify this. Now remember, scientific notation needs to be written in the form of some number between 1 and 9 with a decimal point after it, with some more numbers if needed, times 10 to a power, where that exponent really means how many places you moved your decimal point. So as we look here to begin with, our decimal point really is here. And then we have to move it one. Oh, that's a big fat marker. So just a second, let me change that. Okay. So we'll start out here, move our exponent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Now, remember, we got to move our decimal point so there's only one digit in front of that. So it's going to be a 4, move our decimal point to after the 4, times, or 5, 6, times 10 to the, and we moved it 6 places. Now 10 to the 6th is a million. So we have 1 million times 4.56, which is what we started out with up here. So if it's a big number, your exponent will be positive. Same idea over here on this next one. We're going to take our decimal point and we're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. So we'll move our decimal point so we only have one digit before that, which is a 9, and then we'll still have a 0.2 times 10, and now it's going to be a negative exponent because that's really a small number. Remember, this is really 1 over 10 to the 5th, which would be 1 over 100,000, which is really a pretty small number. 1 over 100,000 times 9.2 is going to be a small number close to 0. So if it's a small number, you're going to have a negative exponent. So go ahead and try to do these next two. And you might be wondering, well, how do I do that? Well, once again, just like when with our rules of exponents, if everything is multiplication inside the parentheses and in between, we really don't need the parentheses. And so then you can just multiply in any order you want. So I'll put the 5 and the 7 together, put the 10 to the powers in the back. So I get 5 times 7, which is 35. 10 to a power times 10 to a power, I add my exponents and I get this. However, I'm not done because my decimal point is right here, and I can only have one number in front of that, one digit, so I need to move it over here. So I'm really going to get a 5.3 times 10 to the 6th. Now, if you wanted, you could go 35 times 100,000, and that would be a 35 with 5 zeros after it, and then work backwards to get to this one here. There's nothing wrong with doing that additional step. Doing that additional step will often ensure that you get the right answer rather than changing your exponent in the wrong direction. Same idea here. It's all multiplication inside and in between the parentheses, so you don't need it. So multiply the normal numbers together. Take your 10 to a power times 10 to a power, multiply your normal numbers. We get 7.2. We get 10 to the 4th, which if we write it in scientific notation, we typically have an x in there for multiplication, and we would get this.